welcome to our parents, bienvenidos to our spring concert. We are excited to have you all here. It's been a long time since we have in person, so it's kind of nice to have all our parents here. It is live stream too, so that link was sent. We would like to thank Mr. Kuzminski, Ms. Kostek, Mr. Bingo, Mr. Chada for putting together this beautiful spring concert because it's spring, and what happens in spring? Bees come out. So our bees are going to be singing, they're going to be playing, and they're going to show their talents. So welcome and enjoy.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's wonderful to see you here today for what I believe is going to be our inaugural performance of this wonderful new auditorium, at least for a concert done by our music department here at Smalley Elementary. So it is wonderful to see you here this morning, parents. Thank you so much for coming by. And it is about this time, since we are live streaming, we have our string ensemble up on the stage today. Our band and our chorus are currently in my music room watching the live stream, and they are seeing if my head is shinier than Mr. Big and Hose. We'll find out when I go back there. In the meantime, for our students who are performing, it is very difficult to go ahead and get up and perform in front of your peers. It's a very difficult thing to do that. So the way you can be respectful of that is please go ahead. Do not go ahead and have side conversations while your friends are up here performing. Again, it's very difficult to go ahead and do that. If you are one of those students who has anxiety when you have to read in front of class, it's kind of one of those things. With that, Mr. Biggingham, it's all yours.
Once again, I want to thank you. It's been a long time since we've been up here. We're going to start in about 30 seconds. I hope you enjoy the show. I might stop once or twice and explain a few things that we're doing. So please sit back and enjoy the show. Some of you might recognize that is a variation of the twinkle theme, and maybe you're also asking yourself, why would we start with a variation for the theme? And the answer is we use the Suzuki method of teaching. It's very scientific, and they start with short bows. Short bows are easier to manage than long, smooth bows. So our next three variations, we'll be experimenting with short bows and different typical rhythms that they might encounter. So the next variation, we're going to need your help. We're going to listen for an echo. So it's 2 quick notes followed by a silence. See if you can hear the echo. And our last variation, we speak Italian in here, so we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to do a gradual deep crescendo, that means we're going to slowly get softer. And then we're going to do a subito forte, that means suddenly get louder, so you can hear it at the end. So this is where we switch gears. We go from the short strokes into the long, smooth, gentle strokes. So now we're going to play the twinkle theme and see if you can hear it and see a difference. before we play our last piece, being a wonderful audience, I want you to think about something. Normally I have maybe twice as many students up here, but of course COVID happened. But every one of these students, make the analogy maybe of a veteran football team. You can't make the playoffs without our veterans. Well, they didn't have their second year players to rely on. These are all beginners. And I want to give a nice round for Angel. So we're going to once again, in advance, thank you for being a wonderful audience. Once we are done, they're going to come off the stage, exit out the door. It's going to take a few moments to do the transition. So if you could stay quiet, that would really help us. So once again, thank you for being here, and we're going to end the program with Go Tell That Reverend. Thank you for being a wonderful audience. We have 3 more parts to go, so with your indulgence, give us a few moments.
Big clap again.
What do you think? Pretty good? All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to take us a few moments to go ahead and get transitioned for Mr. Chava and our band ensemble. So if you can just stay with us for a few minutes, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning, boys and girls again. My name is Mr. Chetta. I am the director of bands. So we're going to play flute, clarinet, saxophone, trumpet, trombone. Flutes, put up your instruments real quick so they can see what that looks like, especially for those students who have a chance to pick next year, or if you're in 4th grade and want to try it in 5th grade, you can still join us. And then clarinets, Mr. Darvin, can you put up your instrument there? Darvin, show your clarinet so you can see what it looks like real quick. Thank you. Trumpets. And then we got alto saxophones, trombones in the back, and then our percussion over here. So those are the various instruments that we offer here for the band, and we hope some of you will decide to join us next year. But before we get started, I want to say again, let's give a round of applause for Mr. Bigno and his strings. And then of course, after this, we'll continue with his chorus. Right now, again, it's the band. So welcome and enjoy it. our last song here, Barely You're Rolling. Also sounds like another familiar tune that you may know. And then coming up next will be Mr. K and It's Fire. So thank you again. We hope you enjoyed it so far, and there's still more to come.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so part 2 of our show, part 3 coming up, we're going to go ahead and have our chorus. They should be lining up momentarily. And coming on in, you just bear with us for another moment or two, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so this is going to be our last little block of performance here. We're going to go ahead and bring up our choral ensemble. Now, usually it's myself who's mostly in charge of the choral ensemble. However, Ms. Kostek has graciously volunteered to go ahead and help out, and that is due to Mrs. Foligno. Mrs. Foligno, in the beginning part of the year, was approached by a restaurant with 2 golden arches. They decided to go ahead and, I guess, renovate one of their restaurants. And they reached out to us, our school, asking if we have an ensemble that can go ahead and perform the anthem. At that point, Ms. Kostek actually graciously volunteered to go ahead and work with a group of students to go ahead and prepare the anthem. So for those of you who are not very familiar with the anthem, it's a very difficult song to sing because often it requires a person to go ahead and sing their very lowest note and to go ahead and instantly turn around and sing the very highest note they can sing, which is not easy to do even for professional singers, but our 4th and 5th grade actually do it quite well. So Ms. Kostek was working with those students, and the day arrived when our group of 10, 12 students, I believe it was, it was 10 or 12, I think. We had 10 and 12 originally were supposed to go. However, the day of, we are notified that only 4 are allowed to go, which is really disappointing to the students who had put in the hard work to go ahead and prepare for that. So that was kind of crushing for us because we just found out the morning of. So what we decided to do is go ahead and incorporate the anthem, the hard work they put in at the beginning of the year, into our concert today. So there's no need to go ahead and stand up for our anthem, but please go ahead and be respectful of it. Thank you. So that was our first song, our national anthem. Thank you very much. So for our second song, we're going to go ahead and perform a very familiar melody called Simple Gifts. Simple Gifts is a Shaker song written in 1848. For those of you who don't know what it For those of you who do not know what a Shaker is, it is a denomination of religion. Just as some of you might raise your hand if I asked you if you were Catholic, some of you might raise your hand if I asked you if you were Islam. Maybe some of you would raise your hand if I asked you if you were a Shaker. So it's a denomination of religion. It was written by a gentleman by the name of Joseph Brackett. And then it was kind of had a resurgence with a gentleman by the name of Aaron Copeland who used the melody, fifth graders. Can you tell me what a melody is? Jameer. You gotta speak up, bud. What's going on in the song? So it is the hummable or memorable part of a tune. Very good effort. Thank you, Jameer. So the melody was used by a gentleman by the name of Eric Copeland, who used it in two of his pieces, one of which being a ballet entitled Appalachian Spring, and another piece that was entitled Old American Songs. So we would like to go ahead and present our version of Simple Gifts to you, and which is kind of tricky because we have two groups that are going to be singing two different things at the same time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. So this is going to go ahead and be the last song of our performance for parents. Once again, thank you so much for showing up and supporting our wonderful musicians here at Smalley Elementary. For our grades 5, 4, and 1, thank you so much for being respectful to our performers. In grade 5, thank you for showing us a good example of behavior concert etiquette for our grade 4 and grade 1 students. So with that, our last tune is going to be a somewhat of a popular tune entitled Best Day of Your Life by an American pop rock band called the American Authors, off of their eponymously named album, American Authors.
appreciate your support, and they're so grateful that you're here. 4th, 5th, and 1st. Thank you for being an amazing audience. It was you did it right. So thank you again, and you guys are our spring bees. So thank you.